How much have you spent in real estate over the years?
Oh, over $1 billion, maybe $2 billion.
This man has a real estate portfolio worth over $200 million. He also has one of the most rare car collections in the world and has a gigantic social media following. But none of this was handed to him. Mani Khoshbin and his parents immigrated to America from Iran, and times were so rough that they all had to live out of a station wagon, his parents and multiple siblings.
What's it like to sleep in a car with 6 people?
A lot of cold nights. You know, sometimes you're subconsciously, you block it. It wasn't easy. Yeah.
With no clear path of success, Mani dropped out of college and started several businesses that failed.
One of our friends used to sell gas stations, open escrow. I put my $20,000 in a bank, turned out to be a con artist. I lost all my money.
But despite these setbacks, things began to look up for Mani when he discovered real estate and now closes deals that are worth 9 figures alone.
In the real estate portfolio, what's been like the biggest win you've had?
My biggest win, $50 million on one property.
So how did he do it? In this video, we sit down with Mani Khoshbin to hear the story of how a failed entrepreneur became one of the most respected names in real estate.
So I'm Mani Khoshbin. I made my money in real estate, primarily commercial real estate. I have the passion for cars, as you guys can see, but my journey wasn't easy. I probably went through 5 or 6 different businesses. I failed many times until I found success in buying real estate, adding value, flipping it for a profit. And I've been doing that for nearly 30 years now.
And so for your story, you grew up in Iran. What was going on, and then what was the story for you to come to America?
Iran obviously had history of war with Iraq. At the time the war was going on, my dad had several brothers that got injured. One of them died from chemical bombs they used at the war. And 2 weeks before my 14th birthday, my dad decided to, just take off and avoid me going to the army, because at age 14, they basically, you cannot leave the country and you got to submit to an army.
Okay.
And that's pretty young age. And seeing what happened to his brothers, he didn't want me to go get killed or get injured. So 2 weeks before my 14th birthday, we decided to leave Iran, went to Turkey, was able to get a visa, and we came to US. None of us spoke a word of English except my dad. My dad had been to US before, and he was educated, and luckily he spoke English. But I took 3 hours of ESL for the first 2 years in high school when I was here from 14 to 16, because I didn't speak any word of English. So pretty challenging upbringing, because we didn't have any money. We ran out of money. We ended up, living in a car for a few months until my dad got a job, was able to get an apartment. And but all that pressure everybody went under because of me, that kind of gave me the guilt trip, and I turned that into motivation. Try to be successful so I can retire my parents, pay them back. And I did just that. Yeah. After many different failures early on. But yeah, it's been a very interesting journey, and I'm happy to share it, because I know there's a lot of immigrants that come to this country for the American dream, and they get discouraged after a couple of failures. And that was exactly me. But look at me now. So
when you came to America not speaking English, do you remember what your first week was like? Because I can't imagine what that experience is like for someone so young.
Yeah, well, you're just like on a different planet. I don't know my way around. I don't have any friends. I don't speak, and I don't have any money. So basically, Americans that are born into this country, they have all of that, which I didn't have. So I had a pretty rough start, if you want to call it. But yeah, as a matter of fact, when we first moved here, we went to a Motel 6 in Costa Mesa. And then after, a few nights, my dad figured out we're going to run out of money. So we moved into a car. But I was at the pool, I remember, and there was this young kid. He was giving me the bird, I don't want to put it in.
You could do that.
Yeah. He was giving me the bird, and I thought he's saying hi. So I was like patting him on the back. And then the other guy was saying, yeah. Somebody was sitting at the pool. He goes, no, that's not good, not good. I didn't know what the heck is going on.
Yeah.
So I didn't speak English, I didn't know the sign language.
That's crazy. What's it like to sleep in a car with 6 people? And did you guys at a station wagon?
It's not good. Yeah, it was a 1972 Datsun, a station wagon. A lot of cold nights. Yeah. It wasn't good. But, I think it was so much suffering and mentally pressure on my mom, especially, that, sometimes you're subconsciously, you block it. You don't think about it. I look at the good times now.
Yeah.
But it wasn't easy. Yeah,
Yeah, no, it's good. What were your parents telling you during that time? And how were they?
Well, my parents wanted me to go to college, so I attended 2 weeks of college, IBC. It's in Irvine. And then I realized, everybody's monkeying around, throwing paper at each other, pens, and I'm like, I showed up there with a briefcase, I'm like, wearing a suit, I'm ready to make money.
Really?
Yeah. And then after 2 weeks, I quit. And my mom didn't talk to me for like several months. She was very depressed and upset. But I was eager to make money, right? So at age 18, I started my own business selling nuts door to door. That was my first business. It did great until health department fined me. They said, hey, you got to have health permit every time you repackage food for resale. And I didn't know that. So I closed that, but I had about $20,000 saved. And then I realized, maybe I should put that to work. And one of our friends used to sell gas stations.
Okay.
Because at 20 grand, you could buy a mobile gas station because you get, 90% financing. I'm like, really? I was 20. I was, I think, 20 at the time. So we opened escrow. I put my $20,000 in a bank, gave me a loan officer, turned out to be a con artist, and I lost all my money. So that was my first real failure, back to zero. Because it's one thing not having money and not making it, but once you make it and then you go back to zero, it's a hard landing,
Yeah.
So, and then I went back to working at Winston Tires to, again, work for somebody else to save money. And then I got my real estate license because every time I was having a Porsche, Ferrari coming to a tire shop, and I was upselling them, brakes, tires, whatever, alignment. I realized I would ask them, I would say, hey, what do you do for a living? And they would say, oh, either I'm an attorney, but 9 out of 10 times either they own a mortgage company or real estate, right? I'm like, wow, so real estate's good. So I got my license, and then one of the customers that used to come to Winston Tires hired me as a loan officer. So I worked at the loan company for less than a year, and then I learned everything, and then I opened my own mortgage company. In 1993, I was 22 years old. Opened a mortgage company. I made $290,000 first year. And that was my first taste of success. Real money, right? At 22, 23 years old, having that kind of money. So I bought a 500 SL. I bought a small little condo. I was wearing 3-piece suits, smoking cigars. That was like, I felt I'm on top of the mountain. And then rates went up and all my mortgages died because back then there was a refinance boom.
Okay.
And you wouldn't lock your rates in. You would wait, get all the loans approved and then lock them at the last minute to get a bigger rebate from the bank. So I had 40 loans on my boards. Rates went up. Greenspan, 1994, I think he took the rates up 3/4 basis point. Kind of similar to what's happening now. Today the Fed increased the rates for the 10 consecutive time, right? And all my loans went dead. We closed that down. And then I figured, hey, I got a couple $100,000 saved. I realized discount stores are doing good, 99 cent only stores.
Yeah.
I said, why don't I do 79 cents a store, 79 cents plus. So I opened a 10,000 square feet store in Santa Ana, 79 cents plus, and I started making good money. And then I opened a second location. That didn't do well. I closed that one down. And then Food for Less opened right next to me. They start competing with me. And I start going from making 20, 30 grand a month cash to losing money. So at that point, I'm like, this is my second failure. So I start selling my cars. I sold my condo. And after 2 years, I owed 200 some thousand on my credit cards, paying 20% plus interest rate. And everybody told me file bankruptcy because I owed money to Pepsi, Coca-Cola, Rockview Farms, all these vendors, right? They give me 30 days term. And so my accounts payable was going up. My sales were dropping because this big store opened next to me, competing with me. And I said, I'm not going to file bankruptcy. This country, by then I knew, because I was a mortgage business, this country is built on credit. If I file bankruptcy, I'm dead, right? So I fought and basically not fired, but let go of about several employees. And I called my parents to come and become cashiers. So it took me 2 or 2.5 years to kind of get to positive cash flow. And I ended up selling it for $185,000. And then I still owed more than I got from escrow, from selling the store. So I'm like, okay, if I pay my credit cards, I'm still going to be in the hole. So I opened an E-Trade account. This was December 1998. I opened an E-Trade account. I started trading stocks. So I got it up to 700 grand. By September 1999, Then I pulled most of it out and I bought a shopping center and 2 REO homes. And that's how I started my real estate.
What were the skills that you developed at this early time that other people should be learning from? Because I definitely think one that sounds like selling. And another thing you did, which I thought was amazing, is that if you're seeing someone that has something you're interested in, you asked. It sounded like when you saw these people bringing nice cars, like, what are you doing? Because I can maybe copy what they're doing.
I would say definitely be curious. Always ask questions, be a sponge. Even now, I mean, I'm always on Google, YouTube. I'm always learning what's going on, what are the trends, what's happening. But always surround yourself with people that are more successful than you. And also be curious, always ask questions. And I would say, take a sales position in anything, because when you do sales, you're interacting with people, you learn a lot. Everything almost in life is sales, So that would be my advice.
How do you think being an immigrant impact your success, especially early on?
Well, I think the hunger, coming from another country, you feel you're in a new environment and you want to prove yourself. You're also learning, right? Because you don't know the environment, you don't know how the business works, the system works. But more than anything, I think just the hunger in me, because I was rock bottom. I didn't have any place to go but up, and I think that was what created that drive in me, And a lot of people take that freedom, resources, friends, being able to speak English, all that for granted because they're here, right? But if you take all that away from you, you get really desperate.
Yeah.
Real quick.
How do you think others can benefit that aren't immigrants with that mentality, or how can they practice that or develop that?
Well, challenging themselves, for one. You could still go, U.S. is over 50 states. You can go to other states that are, having a new driver as the economy and open a new business, just challenging yourself, instead of sitting stagnant someplace,
What were some of the discrimination or challenges you faced?
Oh my God. I can go on on that one. Camel riders, standing. Oh, okay. No.
Really?
Well, back then there was still a lot of discrimination, especially towards Middle Easterns. So I used to work at Kmart. My first job was at Kmart at age 16. I was mopping floors, collecting shopping carts, and I used to always avoid walking my cafeteria because they used to call me names. So I used to go around, But luckily that period's over. U.S. is now primarily a lot of immigrants. So, it's a lot less now, right, than 40 years ago. But it was tough. A lot of name calling, especially when I was selling nuts. I remember one time I was selling nuts. So what I used to do with my nut business, used to go to all the auto dealerships, because I used to sell cashews, trail mix, candies to the secretaries, and then the salespeople love nuts, the trail mix, pistachios, and whatever. So one time I walked to a Toyota dealership, I think it was Toyota, anyway, and this GM came at me, yelling, screaming in front of everybody, the entire sales floor. Tell me, get the F out, blah. And it was very humiliating. And I'm standing there with my basket of nuts. So I remember, walking out, I had tears in my eyes. I'm like, you know what? It's okay. Suck it up. And I went to the next dealership and I sold some nuts. So you just got to keep going, right?
Yeah. Do you think you used that discrimination and name calling and like negativity and funneled that over the years, right? Because you were selling to these car dealerships, and now you have your own dealership.
Yeah, I guess so. If you put it that way, sometimes, life gives you challenges, or sometimes people cause challenge for you, right? You can either accept it and get defeated, or you can prove them wrong, So I turned my doubters or haters now into my followers.
And then I can't imagine also feeling so discriminated and discouraged at these times. And then how did you even know what to think of a vision? Because what I'm noticing of some people is they don't know how big they can even dream, or how far they can even go. So how were you thinking about that? And how did you get clear on that?
I just looked at people that were around me that were successful. Like, when I was at Winston Tire, I used to see people coming there with Mercedes convertible, a few times Ferrari, but a lot of Porsches. So early on, to me, success was having a convertible Mercedes, and that's the first car I bought when I made money. but I didn't even know there is a Bugatti in existence. I didn't know what Bugatti is. But then when I got, years later, I got involved with higher caliber friends that had Bugattis. I'm like, wow, I learned, how much technology legacy is behind the story behind Bugatti, Ettore Bugatti that built Bugatti. Then I started building a passion for cars, and, they're like fine arts.
Yeah.
And so your dream keeps growing with you as long as you have the drive in you to grow.
What's your definition of the American dream?